At midnight, the eerie song I heard on the 7th floor of the abandoned building brought me face to face with death. Before starting the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In the 1990s, a 7-story, quite old and worn-out building was constructed. The exterior of the building was crumbling, the windows were broken, and the stairs creaked. I rented an apartment on the 7th floor of this building. Not many people live here. The reason I rented this apartment is because my job requires a quiet environment. Yes, I am a professional ghost story writer. I sleep during the day and write ghost stories at night. I rarely go out and eat instant noodles every day. Midnight, that is 12 o'clock, is my working time. I just moved into this apartment, and I am quite satisfied with the environment. One night while writing a ghost story, I was a bit troubled because I lost my inspiration. Just then, a faint song began to play from the next apartment. It was a song by Teresa Teng, When Will You Return, and it continued until 5 in the morning. I'm a patient person, and besides, I wasn't sleeping, so I didn't bother. Maybe the neighbor is also a ghostwriter, I thought. For several days, the song played at the same time. That day, I was arguing with the magazine about the fee, and hearing the song made me even more upset. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore and banged the wall a few times with a broom, but the song didn't stop. The next day, I decided to knock on the door if it happened again, and indeed, the song started right on time at midnight. I couldn't take it anymore, so I knocked on the door and shouted, "Do you expect us to sleep at this hour?" But there was no response. I had to return to my apartment full of anger. I went out to the balcony and suddenly remembered that I could go over from the balcony. Without thinking about the danger, I climbed over immediately. The lights were off in the neighbor's apartment. Through the glass door, I saw a DVD player playing the song. The blue light on the buttons looked extremely eerie in the dark. In front of the DVD player stood a woman with long hair wearing a white dress. After watching for a while, I noticed a mirror on the wall that reflected her face. Under the moonlight, I looked closely and saw that her face was a skull. No, I wasn't mistaken. It was a skull. Suddenly, my scalp went numb and my legs gave way and I fell off the balcony. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. Remembering what happened the night before, I shuddered. Even stranger, I didn't die from falling from the 7th floor. I only had a few minor injuries. I moved out of that apartment that day. Before leaving, the old lady next door told me that the apartment had been empty for over 10 years. A little girl used to live there. She loved to sing and dreamed of becoming a star one day. But one day, for some unknown reason, she committed suicide at home. Her favorite song was When Will You Return? After leaving that apartment, I never wrote another ghost story. I started learning the business from my father. From that day on, I never read anything related to ghosts again. Pay attention to every whisper you hear at midnight, because sometimes the past returns at the most unexpected moments. It was my first year at university. I had moved all my belongings into our dorm room, and my family had just left. Later that same day, my roommate finally arrived. From the beginning, I realized this guy was the most socially awkward person I had ever met. I introduced myself as Mark and extended my hand for a handshake. He looked at my hand as if he didn't understand what it was, then laughed. He responded with a weak handshake. I had to ask his name because he hadn't told me. His name was Alex. I tried to make small talk, but he only answered with yes or no. Occasionally, he would laugh or smile oddly. Within a few minutes, we were both sitting on our beds, engrossed in our laptops, not talking. I was upset and planned to request a different roommate. I thought no one could be worse than Alex. Alex wasn't just really weird. He was much more than that. I met other kids on my floor, and they were nice. That was a good thing. After exploring the campus, I returned to my dorm on the first night and saw that Alex was still in the same position. I said, "What's up, Alex?" And he didn't respond, which wasn't surprising. It was 9:30 p.m. I had nothing to do. I turned off the lamp on my side of the room and got into bed, but I couldn't sleep right away. Alex didn't shut his laptop until 3 a.m., and I quickly fell asleep after that. But I woke up within an hour. The blinds in our room were open. The moonlight seeping into the room made everything visible, including Alex sitting on the edge of his bed, staring at me. I got up, rubbed my eyes, and said, "What the hell are you doing, Alex?" He whispered, "I'm sorry," and lay down. The next morning, I woke up to find that Alex had already gotten up, as if he had left the room for the first time. It was the first Saturday of the year, which meant orientation and all the campus activities. During orientation, as my group walked through the campus gardens, I heard a few students in front of me say, "What is that kid doing over there?" I saw who they were talking about. Alex was literally sitting behind a bunch of bushes, rubbing his hand on the bark of a tree. I became friends with those two kids and planned to meet up that night. When I returned to my dorm, I learned that the school had found me a different roommate. Things seemed to be getting better quickly. I left the room to meet the two kids I had met. When I returned, Alex was sitting in a chair facing the door. I said, "Hey, what's up?" He said nothing, very naturally. I sat on my bed, opened my laptop, and realized I had forgotten to lock it. I also noticed that all my emails were opened. There were likely emails I hadn't read, and many of my files were opened. Alex must have been messing with my laptop. When I asked if he had done it, he responded loudly with "no" before I even finished my question. He was reading me like a book. This weird guy was really messing with my computer while I was out. I knew he had done it, but didn't pursue it. I was ready to go to bed. So while looking for my pajamas, I noticed that my clothes had been moved. Knowing I would be leaving for good tomorrow, I didn't say anything. At midnight, I woke up to the sound of a zipper. I got up and saw Alex rummaging through my bag. This time I turned on the light and talked to him. He played dumb, saying he accidentally took my toothbrush. That was the smartest thing he had shown up to that point. I knew he was lying, and knew I had to confront him physically. But I couldn't. The next day I met my new roommate in the same building, and everything went well. On Sunday night, after a nice chat with my new roommate, who wasn't a social butterfly but much better than Alex, we turned off the lights and went to bed. For the third night in a row, I woke up to a strange noise, a weird clicking sound. It wasn't regular, but it happened at least twice every 30 seconds. Hoping to find something innocent like a heavy bag pressing on a weak floorboard or even a mouse, I got up. But as I surveyed the room, I realized the sound was actually coming from the other side of the door. The nightlight in the common area was always on. When I looked through the peephole, I could see the scalp of the person standing on the other side of our door. They were looking down, so I couldn't see their face. As I started paying attention, I realized the small clicking sounds were actually coming from the door handle. I dialed the number for the campus police department. Within 5 minutes, they arrived at the common room. Only then did I feel it was safe to open the door. I saw the officers had handcuffed Alex. I had guessed it was him. I told them everything, that he was my old roommate and had been messing with my belongings, which is why I changed dorms, and that I found him trying to get into my new dorm. They took him away. I don't know what happened to him after that, but I never saw him again. He was either suspended for the term or expelled. I went through my university years like everyone else. However, the nightmare experience I had with Alex occasionally comes to mind.
In our student dorm, we had a very ordinary life until Allie came. Everything changed with Allie's arrival. Subscribe now and don't miss the chilling details of this story. Do not open my wardrobe. At the start of the new term, Allie pointed to his unlocked wardrobe and told us this as we just returned to the dorm. I was busy organizing my new luggage, and when I heard him say this strangely, I asked, "What's wrong with you?" He shook his head and just repeated, "Remember, never open my wardrobe." David, who was lying on the top bunk, sneered, "Country boy, who would care?" John, who was on the opposite bed, joined in. "You keep those old rags like treasure, as if we don't know what they are." "Exactly." David continued making his bed. "You only have a few old clothes, what's the big deal?" Ali said nothing, staying silent with a sullen face. But the other two kept on taunting him, and I couldn't stand it anymore. "Okay, Ali just said something. Why are you talking so much? Enough already." I ended it, and Ali walked out with a frown. "James, only you speak up for him? Has he ever shown you any gratitude?" David threw a pillow. Look at him. This quiet kid has a dark side. Our stuff kept disappearing last term. He's the poorest in the room. Who else could it be? True, John added. I lost 2 phones. I'm scared to get a new one now. I have to be on guard day and night. A thief in the house is the worst. James, didn't you lose 500 lira too? A chill ran through me. Yes, after dining out with my girlfriend last term, I only had 500 lira left. I lost it when I left to use the bathroom, and in the end, I had to embarrassingly ask my family for money. I managed to survive with 1,000 lira transfer. 500 lira is Ali's living expense for a term, David said dismissively. I was a bit shocked, thinking of Ali's always honest face. I couldn't believe he could do such a thing. Damn it! Does it say thief on his face? I can't relax thinking he stole my stuff. John made his bed angrily. David said, and now he tells us not to mess with his wardrobe. There must be something wrong. Okay, we all stay in the same dorm. Let's watch out for each other from now on, I said with a sigh. I knew Ali's family was in the village. They had 3 children, and Ali had 2 older sisters. His family had health issues, and their financial situation was bad. But his family supported him going to university. Ali was very independent, working during winter and summer breaks to earn money. His monthly allowance at school was only a bit over 100 lira. I often saw him in the cafeteria getting 4 ounces of rice and adding free vegetable soup. Almost every day, I had lavish meals, and this surprised me. Seeing him like that made me uneasy. A few times I brought leftover food from the restaurant to the dorm, but he never accepted it, which affected me even more. How could someone like that be a thief? But things kept disappearing in our dorm. My, David's, and John's families were quite wealthy, making the suspicions inevitable. The more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt. So I went outside to walk around and relax. Just then I ran into Ali. I'm going for a walk, I said, greeting him. But as if he didn't see me, he walked straight past. Since this term started, Ali has been a bit strange. Not like before. Ali used to not be this cold. After walking around the school once, I felt a bit more relaxed. I reached into my pocket. Where is my phone? The emptiness in my pocket made me shiver. I must have left it on the bed when I went out. Thinking of the frequent disappearances in our dorm, I quickly ran back. My bed was spotless, nothing there. But I clearly remembered placing my phone on the bed. In the dorm, only David, who was organizing his stuff on the top bunk, and John, who was lying on the opposite bed listening to music, were there. I shouted to them, saying I couldn't find my phone. Oh, your phone is missing too? John reacted strongly. What a mess this place is. I saw Ali come in a while ago, then he left, said David. Damn it, him again. John slammed the table. That kid stole again. This time I'll end it with him. Just then, Ali walked in through the door. Finally back, John shouted. James's phone is missing, lost in the dorm. Did you see it? Ali calmly said, I didn't notice. How interesting. James was out for just a while I was sleeping. David was organizing his stuff. You came in, right? I came in but didn't notice. What a coincidence! John got down from his bed and took out his key to open his own locker. Everyone look! There's nothing here! Let's all open our lockers and see! Ali, you told us not to mess with your wardrobe. You open it! Ali stood still, expressionless, and said, No. David got down from his bed. You don't have to open it. It might be outside. Could be somewhere else. Let's not open it. He said the last sentence to John. All right, I interrupted. Maybe I remember wrong. Maybe I didn't lose it in the dorm. It's just a phone. Let it go. We have a thief in our dorm. Whoever is guilty is the thief. John threw these words and stormed out. What a mess. An unease rose in me, and I went outside the dorm again. I called my girlfriend from a public phone to ask her to come out. She cheerfully said, Do you miss me in your new dorm? Why are you calling me out so urgently? I became a bit impatient. Yes, please come right away. Lara and I sat on the stone bench. When she saw my gloomy face, she said, What's wrong? Did you lose your phone? How did you know about my phone? I asked. Oh, did you really lose it? Lara laughed, leaning on my shoulder. I was just joking. That's why you're so upset. Yes, I lost my phone, but that's not why I'm upset. I told Lara what happened, and she blinked and said, I wonder if it's really in Ali's wardrobe. I don't know, I said. Even if it's really in there, I won't open it. When I returned to the dorm at night, John was lying on the bed with headphones on, his MP3 blaring in the room, while Ali was quietly sitting on his bed, expressionless. I looked at the top bunk. David hadn't returned yet. I asked Ali, "Where did David go at this hour?" Ali just shook his head, saying nothing. I took off John's headphones. "Where's David?" I asked. He answered with a surprised look. "Hasn't he returned yet?" I shook my head. "I don't know. I came back a while ago, saw him sitting there, got angry, laid down, and started listening to my MP3. A doubt arose in me. Where had David gone? As I passed by the wall with the lockers, I saw my phone fallen under Ali's wardrobe. "Aha! Found it!" I shouted and showed the phone to Ali. "Found it!" Ali acted as if he didn't see it, giving no reaction. I showed the phone to John. He looked surprised, then disdainfully glanced at Ali. "That thief's conscience must have hurt. Returned the stolen goods," he said, and angrily laid back on the bed. I had found my phone, but the atmosphere hadn't improved. I still felt uneasy. But interestingly, David didn't return all night. The next morning when I woke up, Ali again told John and me, "Never open my closet." John grumbled, and I nodded my head and left for my classes. David hadn't shown up for classes today either. Where could this boy have gone, I wondered. After classes, Laura and I went out and spent the evening around town. When I returned to the dorm, Ali was sitting on his bed just like yesterday. David was still missing, and John was nowhere to be seen. "Where did they go?" I asked. Ali didn't speak, he just shook his head. It was really strange. Nobody was telling where they had gone. When I got up to use the bathroom at night, Ali was still sitting motionless on his bed. This surprised me, so I quickly went to the bathroom and came back. Seeing him like that, I didn't dare to ask too much. The only sound in the dorm was my anxious breathing. The next day, neither David nor John showed up for classes. Something was wrong. Laura and I went to see the counselor to check if they had taken a leave, but we found the counselor consoling an elderly couple crying. This couple looked quite old, worn out, and their clothes had a rural appearance. I felt something was amiss, stepped inside, and heard the counselor saying, "We're sorry for such an incident, but please, control yourselves. We will refund the half-year tuition fees for student Liu Liang to you." The mother, in tears, said, "My son Ali was working on a construction site in the city to make ends meet, still moving bricks a week before classes started. Then a concrete block fell right on his head. He died on the spot. His head was crushed." "What?" "He had died a week ago, but just 2 days ago." I was stunned, frozen on the spot. Lara, trembling, picked up a newspaper next to her. Unable to speak, she pointed at a news item. Yesterday, 2 decapitated male bodies were found in the canal near a university. After examination, it was confirmed that they were students of this university. Their heads have not been found yet. The case is still under investigation. Yesterday? 2 bodies? David and John? Ali's words echoed in my ears. "Do not open my closet!" As if suddenly remembering something, I rushed out of the office spellbound, heading back to the dorm, which was empty. Ali's closet was not locked. Could it be? My hands trembling, I reached for the doorknob of the closet. Ali's words repeated in my ears night and day, "Do not open my closet." My hand, no longer obeying me, reached out automatically towards the closet. I couldn't stop myself. I had to open the door. The closet door slowly opened. Inside were 2 human heads. David and John's? The heads were not bloody. Both of them had their eyes open, smiling at me, their lips moving as if whispering, "Come, join us." "Why didn't you listen to me?" It was Ali's voice. I turned around, and there was Ali standing behind me, his face expressionless. "I told you, do not open my closet. Why didn't you listen?" "Could it be that they..." Ali coldly said, "Yes, this happened because they opened it. David wanted to plant the phone in my closet to frame me, and John was looking for evidence of my theft." "The phone? David? So he was the thief?" I was sweating coldly. "He always stole no matter how rich. His greed for money was insatiable. He brought this upon himself. John was foolish, always believing only one side of the story. If only you had listened. I told you not to open my closet. Allie... Before I could finish my sentence, his icy hands began squeezing my throat, getting tighter. My consciousness began to blur, as if hearing Allie say, "You are a good person. You should continue to live well." To live? When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Lara looked at me with red eyes and said, "You finally woke up. You ran out so frantically I was afraid something had happened to you," I told the counselor, "and by the time we got to the dorm, you had already fainted." "Did you see David and John's heads?" I asked anxiously. "No," Lara replied. "There was nothing in Ali's closet, and the heads of those two unidentified male bodies have still not been found." "Not found?" Sunlight streamed through the hospital window, softly illuminating the white sheets. I must live well. "You finally returned to school today, right?" Lara asked cheerfully. "Let's celebrate. Which restaurant shall we go to?" "No," I said, holding her hand tightly. "Let's go to the cafeteria. Not just today, but from now on, let's always eat there." If you enjoyed this series and want to see more content like this, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share your impressions and theories about this story in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think.